Welcome to Space Between Ideas. I'm Blaine Gates. As you can see, I got this hat on. It's like, what is it, Friday night? It's Saturday night. I generally work 6 days a week, so I have reached the end of my work week, and it has been quite a busy week. Even today, it was a really busy day, and I just remember on Friday, the last hour of my Russian lesson, I was just falling over onto the desk, and wow, it was amazing. The feeling when you just work all week and you just feel like really exhausted at the end of the week, but you've accomplished so much work. That's how I felt. That's how I feel right now. And I'm really excited to share with you today the next checklist. So as you know, you guys have how many badges now? What is it, 5 or 6? Let's count them. All right. So you have the Endeavor Elements badge. You have the State Progress badge. You have the State Synergies badge. You have the State Inventiveness badge. You have the State Assumptions badge. And in yesterday's video, you got the State Styles badge. It's 6 badges. 6. Amazing. All right. So I think we're going to reach 11, I think, in total when we reach the very end. So let's keep on moving. We're on day 45. Now, today I kind of have a different type of video. Let's move on. So we are now talking about the state impact checklist. State impact. Oy. So we got the state impact. The moment when that boxing glove hits that other boxer, that's the impact. And how much impact do you want your endeavors to have? How much impact do you want your decisions to make? So there's like a whole bunch of decisions that a boxer is making in order for him to make contact with that other person's head or body. And if you make the correct decisions, then you are going to have the ultimate impact. So what is it about? Impact is about making decisions, the impact of decisions. Now, what I wanted to do in today's video is just do kind of a review, but also develop context. So what does it mean what does state impact really mean? All right, so state impact, it means evaluate courses of action. Evaluate courses of action. Like if you really want to have impact, you need to evaluate the courses of action and then choose the course of action with the impact that you want. All right, so let's take a look at what we have today. I'm afraid I'm going to sneeze. All right, so think about the Endeavor Elements and the State Progress Checklist. So where is it that you are making decisions? Where is it that you are evaluating courses of action? Now, for the Endeavor Elements, then this is like, well, I guess you have, it's like, all right, so when you're thinking about developing your potential, then you're going to use those skills and those abilities and those peoples and that motivation and those resources. So like that's, I don't know, is that a choice? Yeah, it's a little bit of a choice. And then you start to do the research and yeah, there's some choices there. And then you develop these scenarios but eventually you will be choosing plans. All right. So that is like to move from developing these scenarios, building these scenarios, to move from, like I have 5 scenarios, but eventually you got to choose plans. So when you choose the plan, it would be helpful, obviously, to evaluate the courses of action. So remember when we talked about all right, so we got the Endeavor element about forming agendas. And then the first step was to make assumptions. And then the make assumptions turned out that had a whole nother checklist for the state assumptions checklist, which was like all these different points that you can think about as you are developing your decisions. Now, the thing is, once you have all of that information, what do you do with that? So you use that information to build scenarios. And then eventually you need to make a decision. So again, it's in that form agendas. And then the third point is to choose plans. All right, so now the choose plans, well, between building scenarios and choosing plans, you have another checklist. It's called the state impact checklist. This is where we will evaluate these courses of action in order to choose the plan. All right, now think about state synergies. So state synergies, it's like usually we associate state synergies either at the bottom where we have like these interactions in the shaping potential area or in the reuses area, where we're going to then bring these relationships down into the potential area and put them back into our future plans. Now, obviously, when you are making decisions, when you're choosing plans, you're also going to consider the relationships that you have, and that you're going to, how you're going to put your team together, and who's going to be involved with a variety of these actions. But the main point, like there's two main points of the state synergies checklist. One is to spot the opportunities for cooperation. So it's like keep in mind all of the people that you are associated with, your customers, your peers, your providers, and see how you can help your customers, how you can better serve your customers, how you can better interact and work with your peers and the colleagues in your office, how to also help your providers so that you are getting the best service from your providers. And then see if you can spot opportunities for cooperation, either with them or bringing them together somehow. All right, so it's like you have to make decisions about how you're going to work with these people and also who you're going to work with, and also like how to bring them, if and when to bring them together. Now, wait, that's a decision, right? Like to decide how you are going to work with your colleagues, how you are going to better help your customers, how you are going to better serve your providers. These are all decisions, and if you're going to make a decision, then obviously it's better to evaluate the courses of action. All right, so what's another thing you can do with this checklist? All right, so how about measure results from endeavors? So you can actually use the state impact checklist and say, hey guys, let's do a follow-up meeting. We just finished this project, and let's look at it from a historical basis. All right, so let's use this checklist and go through the themes of this checklist and look at the results from these endeavors, and then measure the results. Use this checklist in order to measure these results. Now, if you are able to measure these results, you will also be able to communicate the value that came from these previous projects, these previous assignments, this previous work, what one individual is producing, what a team is producing. You'll be able to measure those results. You'll be able to communicate that value. Now, obviously, most of the time we're using this checklist to evaluate future courses of action, to measure the value of future courses of action. But you can also use it in a historical way. All right, so now what is your process for looking at your decisions? Do you have a process? Is it just a gut feeling? Can you put 5 or 6 guys and gals in a room and have a structured conversation about courses of action? So this is the structure. It will provide you a process for thinking about courses of action. And it will give you, in your meetings, an opportunity to say, hey guys, let's go through this step by step, have a discussion step by step. And I believe that if we put our heads together and follow this process, we will be able to talk about the results that we want, we'll be able to measure the results that we want, we'll be able to communicate the value that we want, and we'll be able to consider alternative courses of action. So, this guy's so loud. So let's keep on going. All right, what about the state inventiveness checklist? All right, so the state inventiveness checklist. So where is it that we are evaluating courses of action? With the state inventiveness checklist, you are going to ideate, right? You're coming up with ideas for some form of innovation. So, all right, so now I have ideas. And then what do I have to do? I have to instigate. So remember instigate. It means how do I bring together a group of people? How do I find the skills in order to move forward with this idea? in order to move forward with this new innovation, in order to move forward with this company, in order to move forward with this new product. All right. So also then eventually after you've decided like who you're going to bring together in order to develop this product, then you're also going to have to make some decisions about that actual product when you start to build a prototype. All right. So in all of these areas, when you ideate, when you instigate, and then eventually when you invent a prototype, you should have the opportunity to evaluate courses of action. All right, so let's evaluate the ideas that we're looking at. And then after we have a basic plan about the ideas that we want to use, then we can evaluate the people, the skills that you're going to bring on board, and like what percentage of the company they're going to own, or how much you're going to pay them, or how you're going to put that structure together. And then eventually, when you have those people together, then you need to evaluate the actual product, the prototype that you're going to develop. All right, so you can see that this state impact checklist is also part of that decision process. Finally, we talked about state assumptions. All right, so when you are deciding like the metadata types, all right, so you can actually use the state impact checklist to start to look at like what metadata types should we be looking at? What information should we be looking at? What assumptions should we use in order to what? Make the decision. All right, so this is another checklist where you're going to be using the state assumptions checklist is another checklist where you have to make a decision. See, all of these checklists, they give you different types of decision processes, but eventually you will be making that decision. And so when it becomes time to make the decision, don't make that decision without looking at alternative courses of action. Finally, as you know, in the last couple of days, the last 5, 6, 7 days, we've been talking about state styles. All right, so how do you know like which style to use? All right, should we use this style? Should we change our style? All right, so you can just like make a simple decision, or you can use this state impact checklist to decide, should we change the style? Should we go from a process, or should we start to experiment with a process? And how do we move from haphazard to perhaps experimenting with the process? Or is there some type of process that we need to wind down and stop doing? Or are there processes which we should start to include in our business? All right, so as you can see, this state impact checklist is very important, and it comes at the moment when you need to make a decision. So I invite you to check out the videos for the next few days, 5, 6 days, and as we start to work through the decision-making process. This is The Space Between Ideas. I'm Blank Gates.